Hi everybody, Sonia Choquette here. I am so excited to talk to you about the importance of creating a personal altar in your home to empower you, to connect you to your spirit, to connect you to the divine forces in the universe that will help you, to ground you and keep you centered and listening to your heart, to provide a beautiful energy of light and blessing in your home, and to make you available to all the intuitive support and guidance and downloads and gifts that the universe has to offer you. Now, many moons ago, we all used to have an altar in our home, and many cultures still do. I mean, if you are in an Asian home, you probably have an altar. But sadly, in the Western world, the altars slowly got moved out of the home and got centered in temples and churches and synagogues and nature and whatever. But we really they were taken away from our personal, intimate experience. And so as the altar left, so did our connection to our divine spirit. So did our connection to feeling connected with the spiritual forces of the universe. So it's a loss that I feel needs to be remedied. And when you create an altar in your home, you create a portal, a place, a sanctuary where you can come and connect to spirit. So the first thing I want to kind of make clear is that an altar is not a shrine. An altar is a dynamic place of interchange where you can have conversation with spirit, you can make requests, you can bring gratitude and appreciation, you can have a conversation with the unseen world, and it's active and dynamic. Whereas a shrine is not. It is a static kind of creation to honor individuals and saints and God and angels and nature or whatever, but it's not a dynamic conversation here. It's nothing dynamic is happening other than we bring to mind what's important to us and we honor those who've gone before us, but it's just a whole different thing. So now we're back to the altar. Now that sounds like such an exciting invitation, an altar. Wow, that's a sacred thing if I've ever been exposed to one. What can I do to create my sacred altar? Well, the first thing is something becomes sacred when you make it sacred. So it's not like what universal things are sacred. It's your personal home altars. What is sacred to you? So the thing that speaks to our unconscious and our spirit are symbols. So the first thing I would recommend is to begin contemplating, well, what are my sacred symbols? What lifts up my heart and speaks to uniquely to me? Now, while you're thinking about that, let's find a spot for the altar. And even if you live in a very, very, very small place and it's a crowded house with lots of people, you can still find your altar. I have a client who actually made an altar, a little portable altar on a handkerchief. And she just put all her sacred symbols on the handkerchief. And then when she had to have other people around, she would wrap it up very gently and put it away so that it wasn't being intruded upon. So you just need a little space, someplace that's not going to be disturbed, someplace where when you go sit with the altar and you kind of connect to your spirit at the altar, you can be quiet. So it can be a little corner of a bedroom or in your home or by a window. Look around and see what place speaks to you. Now, on the altar, I'd like to invite you to prepare your altar over time and not rush it. And first, again, go back to what is sacred, meaningful, and moves your heart. So they might be some spiritual symbols, and they don't have to be from one tradition or another. I mean, what speaks to you? I have pictures of Christ, and I have Buddha, and I have Mother Mary, and I have beautiful Native American symbols. It's your sacred altar. You decide, okay? That's the first thing. The other thing is that people present and past could also be very meaningful for your altar. I have pictures of my family, my grandparents. I have pictures of my kids. I have a picture of my beautiful passed over dog that I loved for so many years when she was alive. So, and this is what another thing you put on your altar. Images of saints and inspirational people. I have a friend who has Oprah on her altar, and I have another friend who has a bunch of comedians on his altar. So it's all sacred because it's meaningful to you. Now, altars are living energies, so you can create altars with themes, colorful themes, for example. You can have an altar to your inner child. I have several altars in my home, and one is to my inner child. And on that altar, I have drawings from when I was a child. I have toys. I have sweet images that would appeal to a child, things that speak to my inner child. I even have some chocolates. So that's my inner child altar. You can have a love altar if you want to have an altar to relationships. You can have a appreciation of all things divine altar, just generally gratitude and asking for love, guidance, protection, and support for you and your family to protect your home. That's another theme. You can have an altar to your purpose in life. Maybe you want to have an altar to your creativity. So I invite you, and you get to choose. There is no right or wrong. It's what you deem sacred. So once you kind of arrange your altar, don't just think it's an art installation. It has to become a dynamic and evolving sacred place. So one of the things that's nice to put on an altar is a small bell that you ring, because when you come to visit the altar and you ring the bell, it kind of wakes up your spirit. It summons the divine. It says, let's have a meeting. Let's have a connection. So a lot of churches and religious systems have bells to kind of activate the spirit. So I'd say that's a lovely thing to put on an altar. Also, I like to put fresh things. So I always have a bowl of water to represent the emotions, the pure spirit, and flowers. You can put flower petals, flower buds, nothing big deal, but fresh and change it. I like to also put sweet things on the altar, pieces of candy, and they're just symbolic appreciations for the support and the energy that we are given in life from the unseen world. And sometimes I put special written intentions that I ask for support. Help me with this project. Help me with my friend's relationship, or one of my parents going through chemo, something of that nature. That's another thing that really matters, that can really be helpful. So I think that's another opportunity for you to think about. And then the other thing I recommend with the altar is to visit it regularly. Visit it when you, maybe a certain time every day, and it only has to be for a few minutes. You might say a prayer, meditate at the altar, set an intention, offer a gratitude, but don't be in a rush. If the altar isn't visited, it doesn't really have much power. It doesn't have much. But if you visit the altar regularly, it takes on a vibration. It takes on an energy that becomes very dynamic, very beautiful, very empowered. So that is my invitation to how to create the altar. I like to visit my altar every morning for a few minutes. I usually give it about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and I say thank you for all the blessings and all prayers answered. Thank you for all intentions you've helped me with. Thank you for all the unseen support that I feel in all that I miss, because there's certainly more than going on. And help me this day. So it organizes me and it gives the divine world a guidance and direction for what I need help with. And the thank you keeps me in a high vibration. Gratitude and appreciation. So I'm noticing all the wonderful good things that are being blessed from the unseen world. A plant, a flower, sacred pictures. You might be inspired as you're going along and see something that captures your eye and speaks to a feather on the ground, a penny, a beautiful crystal, and it's some talisman that just really speaks to you. Put that on your altar. And again, you can rotate. So it is a beautiful, interactive way to commune with spirit and to have a daily, ongoing dialogue. There are cultures all over the world that still do this. And those of us who've lost out on that technique and that interaction, I believe we suffer. I think our world becomes too transactional. It becomes sterile and fearful, and we feel isolated. When you create a beautiful altar, you are connecting to the divine flow both horizontally and vertically. You are connecting to the loving forces of life. So I hope that you get inspired. And the key, and one final bit of a message is trust yourself. This is your altar. You put on it what speaks to you. It's not, don't let yourself feel afraid or worried that you'll be judged by someone else, and make it sacred enough. I even had a client who created a beautiful altar in a shoebox where she would put the cover and put it away, but it was her altar. So you see, there's no real hard and fast rules. It's just what works for you, as long as it's not out of sight, out of mind. As long as it's a sacred place where you can get centered, come back to your spirit, come back to what's important to you, acknowledge it. We're visual creatures, so these symbols and images speak to our subconscious and inner self. And the more meaningful they are, the more our hearts open. So that's what's really important. And the more we begin to feel the support that is there, that is available to us. If you do have an altar, visit it. Have you changed it lately? Have you put fresh flowers? Have you put fresh water? You can put candles, but don't walk away from candles. That's just common sense. But you can put those electric candles, those electric votives that never go out. That certainly is something to symbolize light and inspiration. And you can light a candle every day when you go as sort of part of a ritual, like you do in a temple or a church or a synagogue. You go, you light a candle that acknowledges the light of your heart and spirit. You say your intentions, your gratitudes, your prayers, your requests. Don't forget your gratitudes. Start with your gratitudes and end with your gratitudes. And watch how your life begins to change. Having this sacred, kind of this sacred statement about what's important to you visible in your life, and engage with it on a regular basis, really will enrich your life in so many ways. It'll calm, ground, and nourish your emotional system and your nervous system. It will reassure you. It'll open the doors and portals to your intuition and guidance. You'll start feeling connected, and it will bring blessings into your life. It will. Everybody should have an altar. We used to once upon a time, and I think it's time we do again. So thanks for watching this, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, the button's below, please do, because I bring these regular tips and tools for living a charmed, beautiful, intuitively guided life on a regular basis, and it's the life you deserve. It's natural. Okay, all my love, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye now.